1080
Yes.
screen here. Okay, all right. Okay, so AssetWise is a separate interface, but it integrates with ServiceWise pretty tightly. So I'm just gonna walk you through the AssetWise portal, and then I'll show you a little bit about or how that would look inside Service Desk. Okay, so um, it does support single sign-on and all that, so I don't necessarily have to log in like this. But if I do, as a sample user, the very first screen you're going to get to is just a dashboard. So you can create asset reports and then just place them onto the dashboard. Some of these reports will also be available inside the service desk, so you don't necessarily have to come in here to look at the reports. So you could bring some of these over into ServiceWise. So some of the reports that might be useful might be, how many tickets were submitted against an asset. So there is, reports like that where you can decide, hey, whether or not you need to RMA something, right? Or if you have something problematic because it has a lot of tickets, we'll be able to capture that. So it's just a quick dashboard. I'm not going to go over too much of this. So there's distribution reports, list reports, tabular. So as long as you have the data, we should be able to report against it with these different styles and whatnot. So going right into the meat. So over here on the asset tab, so what you would do is you would set up what we call the asset catalog, and inside the catalog, we call these templates. So we have all these different types of assets that we can track. The reason why we call them templates is because each one of these could potentially have different information we're capturing, different fields and whatnot. Maybe serial numbers for some, maybe some other ones you don't have something like that. But essentially, on the right-hand side would be a list of individual assets that are using that template. So let me come into, I'll just come into here. So over here on the right-hand side, if we look at cell phones, for example, a couple key information here. So number one, who it's used by right now, and then where the location is at. So where is the cell phone? So right now, it's you can see that this is with Neo. He's using it, and then if he ever leaves the company or whatnot, he can always return it, and then you'll see something like this where it just says asset in stock, and it's assigned to nobody. So that's how it kind of works. So there's a whole check-in, check-out process there. If we look at the asset itself, down below the asset details, we're able to customize this page to capture relevant information. So this is just some basic form that I have. But if you wanted to, you can set up additional fields and whatnot. So I don't know if I have a good one here. Laptops, for example. Let me see if I have something. So computers right here, we may have the the MAC address, IP address, things like that. And then when we go over to this tab, the support plan, you can tie these to contracts with your vendor. So there is contract management in here. So who you're contracting with, who's providing you the warranty, etc., and then when does it expire. There's also reports that reflect assets that are going to be expired and things like that. So that's what that support plan tab is. Moving on to the sub assets, these would be things that are not, maybe you don't want to capture individually, but uh, for example, a computer may have keyboard and mouse. So you might not want to capture those um, separately, but rather you want to tie those to maybe a computer. So those will be what the sub assets are. And then operations would just be a history of things that happened to this asset. So when did you acquire the asset? When did you assign this asset to somebody or to a location? So speaking of location, things like printers might not be assigned to individuals, but rather a location. So we can do that as well. So we can assign assets to a location instead of individuals. And then if it is assigned to an individual, then you can see who that person is and just some information on that user. Okay, now this guy right here, this is integrated with ServiceWise right here. So if we did create tickets against this asset, we would be able to see those tickets here. Okay, and then vice versa. If I go into ServiceWise, I'll be able to um, create tickets against these assets. So that's kind of, assets in a nutshell. So again, you can import these. As long as we map the fields, we should be able to use the import option, and then we can import all these assets. Um, right now, at this moment, we integrate with other discovery systems since we don't really do discovery. We're just basically keeping track of the assets, but not really. We don't have any agents that are sitting anywhere that can retrieve assets automatically. Okay, just FYI. But any questions so far on this?
No,
Okay, great.
no.
Okay, on the operations tab, so this guy is very similar, except it just basically tells you a history of everything that's happened to every asset. So it's very similar to, clicking on an asset, looking at the history here, but instead it would just be a list of everything that's happened against all assets. I don't know if I have any data here. I did have a couple of other asset pages open, but it's just a history. And in reporting, this is where we can, set up the reports and whatnot that you saw in the dashboard. I'm gonna bring up service-wise. I think service-wise we have, okay, so I have something here. So inside service-wise, if we go into users, we'll have a asset tab here. So this is where I can assign assets. So I can say, hey, well, actually certain things right here, you can see like printers, maybe monitors, things like that, may be assigned to a location instead. So that's where it says office area. And then down below, assign employee assets, these will be the things that are assigned to that individual, or to this individual rather. Okay, so you can always click on the asset and you'll be able to see some details. You can edit the location, you can create asset, or you can create tickets here, but generally we wouldn't create tickets on this page. But anyway, so you'll be able to see assets, serial numbers, things like that. So all the relevant information. Earlier I mentioned contracts and things like that. You'll be able to see that here if there was one as well. Over here, if I come back into the assets, so you can also assign assets from here, okay? So in both places. So service-wise, I just showed you can assign assets. Here, we can, we have all these different functions. So we can create new assets and then assign them. So let me take one here. So if I use this template, let's just say computers right here, and I do a new asset, it's gonna create an individual here, individual computer here, and then and then we basically give it. Oh, this one right here, the asset number you can set to be manual. So sometimes we use the asset number for serial numbers, or you can let the system automatically assign just a number to it. So I'm just gonna put something in, and hopefully that works. All right, so when I create an asset, that's how it looks right there. So again, customize this fields if you need to. And then in order to assign it to somebody, you can just say assign assets, and then you just basically type who that individual is, right? So you can assign assets, or you can assign it to a location if we had that. All right, so that's just how you assign. So there's a couple of other things we can do as well. Deleting assets. So this is all controlled by privileges. So maybe, not everybody can delete assets or assign things like that. Down below, this one, I'm not going to show you too much, but you're able to set up a workflow against these assets. So not only creating an asset, assigning, deleting, those are standard operations that you can perform on any asset. But you could set up a workflow to track, let's say, a RMA process. So you can say, if a custom, action where you send to a vendor for repairs, things like that. So you can set up a custom workflow if you need to. Going back into service-wise, if I come in and I go into my ticket list view, I'm not sure if this system has it, but when I create a new ticket, if you have AssetWise turned on, you should be able to submit assets here. Let me pull up another one, see if this one has it. All right, so here we go. So let me close this guy right here. Sorry for jumping around too much. But this is the same page, creating a new ticket. Over here, you'll see like this ticket, we're creating it for individual, and then these are the assets that that individual has. And then so you can go ahead and submit, a ticket against an asset that way. I don't have this feature turned on, but you don't necessarily have to, select the individual. You can select all pretty quickly, but
Hi, it's Dave. Is it possible to click on the search? How it's possible to search an asset?
sure. So searching, I don't know if I have it turned on here. Let me see. So this right here. There's an asset tab right here where we can search against the categories of assets, right? So categories again would be these guys right here. So the templates I mentioned, those are the categories, and then choosing an asset. So I can say, hey, maybe a desktop, and then what kind of desktop, you can further segregate that, and then maybe punch in the serial.
How do you manage it? Like the category, everything. It's a separate kind of portal, but
Mhm.
it's using the same database.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when you do have AssetWise, if you do have it enabled, then you get certain reports as well. So inside ServiceWise, you have some of these asset reports, something like this right here, asset support history, and that might be able to. I don't know if again, if we have anything here, but yeah. So right here you can see assets that have tickets created against them. So
All those functionality for some
yeah, that's
users?
correct. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, there are account types and privileges tied to assets.
That works together.
That's what I just showed, the entire thing. So
Okay.
this is the integration, right? So the users here, if you look at the users, they'll have asset information. You can submit tickets against assets, things like that, directly inside ServiceWise. Um, I'm not sure I have this, guys, but it's not too different. So all it is really when the end users are submitting issues through that portal, they're gonna see the same form with assets. So except they're not able to search against other employees, they're just gonna have this, automatically filled out, and then whatever asset they have, they can select to submit a ticket against.
Okay, so
Hmm.
can you show us where I can see
Okay.
for the tickets and to show the history about this asset?
Okay, let's see if okay, so that report that I had, let's pull up this guy right here. So 1612 right here. Let's see if I can see if I can pull up this guy here. Okay, so this guy right here, if I look at this, I should be able to see the assets that are related. It's just pulling up 1 second here. Or if I look at the vice versa, yeah, so right here, so this is submitting a ticket against the asset, so you'll see that it's tied there. And then also reverse, the reverse approach where you're looking at this computer, 1045, let me see if I can find this. Under this guy right here, link incidents, you will see the ticket information. So let me see if I can find that, 1045.